Hey, we've all been there. Don't want to go to work, don't want to go to school. Whatever the case is, we've all faked being sick once or twice. But that was just faking a cold. These celebrities, they have lied about so many bad things. Welcome to Beyond the Screen. I'm Nate, and today we're breaking down the top 10 celebrities caught faking their illness. Number 10, Belle Gibson. Belle Gibson was a famous Australian influencer who was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 20 years old. According to Belle, she ditched the traditional chemotherapy route and instead decided to undergo alternative treatments like oxygen therapy and colonics. And somehow that worked. Or so her thousands of followers thought. In 2013, Belle used her story to launch a health and wellness app called The Whole Pantry. She made a public vow to donate 1/3 of her profits to charity, was able to secure a cookbook contract with the acclaimed publishing company Penguin, and Apple pre-installed her iPhone app on all Apple Watches. Kind of like when U2's new album just suddenly popped into your iTunes and you were like, I don't remember buying this, what did I do last night? Not long after her rise to fame, she claimed that the cancer had re-emerged, basically everywhere, and lamented about the short time that she had left with her family. But as it usually does, the truth set her free. According to media outlet Who, the app's proceeds never made it to the charities, and former friends of the blogger voiced their suspicions to the point that 2 journalists from the Sydney Morning Herald took on the case, like detectives in a movie from the 1930s, like, alright, don't worry sweetheart, we'll solve this case. After a fairly minimal amount of sleuth work, Gibson was forced to reveal that she had in fact faked her diagnosis for media coverage. The aftermath involved a civil suit being launched against Belle by Consumer Affairs Victoria, and a judge ruled that she may have been suffering from psychological or psychiatric delusions at the time, but was in fact found guilty of misleading and deceptive content. That's a thing you can sue people for? I gotta make some phone calls. Number 9, Joe Exotic. Joe was the Tiger King inside the confines of his Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park, and so much more. The Netflix docuseries Tiger King followed the story of Joe and his team at the zoo, but eventually morphed into a tale of lies, deception, and the attempted slaying of a woman. For those who may not have seen the series or know who this man is, how could you not? Go watch all 8 episodes in one go so you can feel the hate that we share towards this man. If you're a cat lover, just be warned, it's not going to be a good ride for you. Spoiler alert! The show culminated in Joe being convicted on 17 federal charges for the mistreatment of animals and 2 counts of attempting to pay someone to end another's life. Joe is currently sitting in a cozy little cell in Oklahoma, adorned in tiger rugs and sheets, I'm sure. Following the release and success of the documentary, Joe was actually unable to watch the final product because, hey, there's no Netflix in prison, who would have guessed? In order to gain the chance to see it and experience his 15 minutes of fame, Joe actually faked a cancer diagnosis, which meant that he would need to be moved to a proper facility that would probably have Wi-Fi. He even went so far as to get his fans to raise money for his so-called treatment, but it turned out that he had been faking his diagnosis just like he was faking his music career. Joe's cancer was actually an infection in his nether regions and a constant state of dehydration. It's never actually been confirmed if Joe visited a real doctor or if he just diagnosed himself. Wait a minute, if he was claiming that he had prostate cancer, so if he checked himself. Number 8, Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper's directorial debut, A Star Is Born, released in 2018, in which he also starred as Jackson Maine, a legendary country music maker with a taste for the no-no juice. The most memorable scene came when Cooper's character and his co-star Lady Gaga take the stage at the Grammy Awards when Cooper begins urinating in his pants on stage. It was one of the more important scenes in the movie, and Bradley decided to go a bit method for his character. Throughout production, Bradley was seen stumbling on set. He always seemed worn out and drained of energy, even if it was like the start of a new day. The cast and crew became worried that he was suffering from some kind of a depression or a no-no juice-induced battle, which was kind of confirmed by Bradley. As the director, on top of being the star, people expected him to kick back into normal when he'd step behind the camera, but that never happened, and instead he was actually still tipsy and tired in his chair. So what was actually happening, you may ask? Well, it turns out that he was just going deep into his method acting, and he decided not to tell anybody about it. At the end of the shoot, he apologized for his behavior, saying that he was simply trying to live in the mindset of Jackson and share the story through those eyes. I don't know, whatever he did, it paid off, as not only did the film receive multiple awards award nominations, including 2 wins for the Best Original Song The Shallow, but he got me to pay to watch it 3 times. People kept telling me that they wanted to see it, and I love Lady Gaga. I don't know, it was a win-win. Number 7, Brooks Ayers. This one is for all of you Real Housewives fans out there, specifically the Real Housewives of Orange County. Leave it to a reality series to be the center of a lie. While it's never been fully proven if he did or did not have cancer, Brooks was caught red-handed lying about receiving treatment for it at least. According to People magazine, Ayers claimed to be diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2013, and although he maintained face that he was sick, he spent much of that year's season dodging skepticism. Even his ex-girlfriend doubted him. Oh, his ex was suspicious that he was hiding something, eh? Yeah, no duh. In an attempt to prove his illness, Ayers apparently showed E! News documents he said are from City of Hope Hospital, where he claimed to be a patient, but the news outlet found a number of inaccuracies in the paperwork. Of course, they contacted the hospital to get a confirmation that Brooks was actually a patient there. Oh, and guess what? They'd never heard of him. Eventually, Brooks was forced to come clean and admitted he forged the documents to avoid releasing the real paperwork. Man, I love these Hollywood apologies. After that happened, he was like, oh, I now realize my actions were wrong and inexcusable. Hey man, who raised you not to know that faking cancer was messed up without the world having to tell you it was? Number 6, Steve Rannazzisi's. You may recognize Steve from his role as Kevin MacArthur in the hit FX series The League, or perhaps from his many stand-up and television specials. What you may not know is that Steve is a big ol' liar. Steve first moved to the west coast of the United States only 1 month following the events in New York in September of 2001. When he first tried to break into the comedy scene, he claims that he found it difficult to fit in with his fellow comics, and he would indulge in stories to get a word in conversationally. Essentially, when he introduced himself and told people that he was from New York, at the time the events were so fresh and everyone was curious. Hey man, were you there when it happened? And much like a lot of comedians, he started telling them sarcastically that he did in fact escape one of the towers before they fell, but before he could say, nah, just kidding, that never happened, the conversation had already moved on and he was just now seen as a survivor. Needless to say, his story made its way through the scene and his career seemed to be on a rise. It was only a few short years later that he would be a main cast member on The League, and he would go on to write and star in several TV shows and films. But in 2009, Steve told Marc Maron his tall tale, even adding details like, yeah, I worked on the 59th floor, second tower, man, it was tough getting out of that one. I broke a few bones, my hand, took weeks to heal. Not long after that public exchange, the New York Times did a little detective work and discovered that he had actually worked in Midtown Manhattan at the time, which was nowhere near the incident. He's apologized for the lies and realizes now that people probably would have just liked him fine without them. Whoa, wait a minute. Lying to make people like you is wrong? What? My mind is blown. Number 5, Jussie Smollett. In January of 2019, famous actor Jussie Smollett walked into a Chicago police precinct and reported that he had just been the victim of a hate crime. He told the police that 2 strangers began shouting racial slurs at him. While one was just yelling at him, the other was pouring the chemical bleach onto him before they both held him down and tied a rope to his neck. He claimed to have suffered severe rope burns and was physically ill from the experience. As we all know now though, that is not exactly what happened. The so-called strangers were actually 2 brothers who worked with Jussie on the set of his hit series Empire. According to inside sources, he paid the brothers $3,500 each to help him stage the event, planning every single detail right down to the precinct visit. The proof that all of this was a ruse made up for publicity was the fact that the altercation conveniently took place directly in front of a security camera. An investigation took place that found ample evidence that Smollett had set himself up. They found receipts from the ropes used during the altercation left in the assailant's home. Way to hide the evidence, boys. There was also security footage taken from a store where the brothers can be seen trying on and purchasing ski masks, gloves, and red hats. And I'd pay anything to see that footage. It would be a very funny clip now. At the end of the day, Jussie was forced to serve 150 days in prison and pay the Chicago Police Department over $300,000 for wasting their time and resources. So just before you all get mad at me in case I pronounced his name wrong, I'd just like to remind you guys that he faked a hate crime, so maybe focus on that. Number 4, AJ Finn. Dan Malroy is probably best known by his writing pseudonym AJ Finn and has a medical history faker than his his best-selling book, The Woman in the Window. According to a profile written by The New Yorker, AJ just loves to lie his little head off, as over the years, Mallory has reportedly claimed to have brain cancer, including on a university application, and to his colleagues at publishing houses both in America and across the pond in the UK. According to the profile, he also claimed to have lost his mother and his brother, but hey, it turns out they were still very much alive. A phone call was recorded when Mallory received the news, and he dropped a line straight from a mystery novel. He said, "My God, I knew I'd get this call. I just didn't know if it was going to be you or the FBI." If you need proof that this dude's a writer, there you go. Mallory was forced to come clean, claiming his lies stemmed from the fact that his mother had an aggressive battle with cancer while he was very young. He said that throughout those dark times, and like many afflicted with bipolar II disorder, he experienced crushing depression, delusional thoughts, morbid obsessions, and memory problems. He went on to say that he did and said things he wouldn't normally do or say, but he has no memory of it. Why do people always pull the story of like the "I forgot I did that" card in defense? Like, hey man, that makes you look so crazy. Oh, I painted all over these walls just now, but I don't remember doing it. Number 3, Kim Zolciak. Another one for all of you Real Housewives maniacs out there, and I'm sorry I'm gonna pronounce her last name wrong every time. This time we take our efforts to the city of Atlanta. Fans of the show may remember an epic battle between Kim and fellow series star Nene Leakes during the season 1 finale. Kim was making it seem like she had begun wearing a wig and claimed that it was because of her cancer treatments. During the episode, Kim tearfully claimed that she was very sick and her hair was falling out. Kim then mentioned that a doctor friend sat her down and said that he was 90% sure that she had cancer. A medical professional on his off time was like, "Hey, listen, based off what you've told me, you've probably got cancer." No need to double check though. She made her fellow housewives believe the tall tale, but the suspicions began to grow when Andy Cohen asked her bluntly during an interview if she did in fact have cancer. She avoided the question and started to cry, saying, "I wouldn't walk around with a hairpiece if I didn't." She kept the ruse up long enough for Nene to make a rare on-camera apology to Kim before Cohen brought her on just one more time and asked the same question. And this time Kim admitted that she didn't actually have cancer at all, and her symptoms ended up being from something else entirely. Oh, so the doctor who you were probably partying with misdiagnosed you? Oh, that's so weird. Hey, I'm tired a lot and my stomach hurts. You have cancer. You can leave now. Number 2, Courtney Stodden. Courtney is a model, singer, and American media personality. Their claim to fame is, well, being married to the dude from the Green Mile that just didn't wet the sponge. Hey man, you gotta wet the sponge. Upon the breakup in 2020, Courtney's new ex, Doug Hutchison, decided to throw Courtney right under the bus and revealed that they had faked a very public miscarriage. In 2016, Stodden's manager told People magazine that they had suffered the dark ordeal and were taking their time to grieve. But according to Hutchison, the entire thing was faked so that the couple could scrape together extra money while they were in a tight spot, and it was all Courtney's idea. "Yeah, I know I'm their husband and technically we share everything, but I had nothing to do with it." That was all he had to say. Stodden later said in an interview that they couldn't get a job to save their life in Hollywood, basically being blacklisted. They had burned through their savings and times were tough. Well, if you want sympathy and money, go out in public and say that. Don't tell people you had a miscarriage. That is just so much worse. And at number 1, Helena Bonham Carter. She's got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Helena Bonham Carter is a wonderful actress who's proven time and time again that she will steal whatever scene she's in. While she may be best known for playing the evil witch and possibly girlfriend to the Dark Lord Bellatrix Lestrange in the much-loved Harry Potter franchise, it's her role in the 1999 flick Fight Club that gets her a spot on this list. Following the wrap-up of the film, Helena claims that she was forced to visit the hospital and was diagnosed with bronchitis. This was due to the massive amounts of cancer sticks that she was inhaling throughout the flick. It turns out that she wasn't forced to do anything. In fact, she did it to herself. While most sets tend to opt for like fake products, especially when it comes to things that you set on fire and inhale, Helena decided to bring her bad habit on set and into her character, reportedly lighting up a new Popeye every other take. While she may have claimed the illness to be caused by the shoot, the reality was if she had just opted to do what everyone else does, she would have been fine. Sure, maybe she did get sick, but she didn't get it because of the shoot. She got it because she was Method Man. And that's it. Those are the celebrities who were caught faking their illnesses. Can you think of anyone that lied to gain our sympathy? Well, let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of the video, hey man, it's good to see you. Grab a good old bag of no-no juice and smash that like button. Be sure to come back every day for more celebrity content. Thank you for stopping beyond the screen today, and we'll see you next time.